What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, One Man's Walk. I am your host, Gamal, back at you with another one. So what do we have for you today? Well, today marks the untimely death of one of the greatest rappers ever, one of my personal, what am I kidding? My personal favorite rapper ever, the Notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Smalls, aka Christopher Wallace, aka Frank White. This also marks the 25th anniversary. I can't believe it's been 25 years, but the 25th anniversary of one of the greatest hip hop albums ever, Life After Death. So figured, hey, why not? So we take a trip down memory lane. You see the cassette tapes. Why not? Let's do a review on it. So let's get right to it right after this intro.
Clean your house music. You can clean too.
Welcome back. So like I said, we're going to get right into the Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death. Again, one of my personal favorite albums ever, one of the greatest rap albums ever, should be on everyone's top list of greatest rap albums ever. And so this right here, I bought the cassette tape. You guys can see it's actually really broken up. I've had these so long. I actually skipped school to get these right here. I remember the day it dropped. I skipped school to get them, and then I guess my mom was at work or something, and my dad was definitely at work, and I just went home and played it. No, I went to the mall. I skipped school, and I know that I couldn't go home. Yeah, me and my mom was there, and I played it at the mall until it was time to go home, and then, I went home. But yeah, I was like, Life After Death came out. This is a can't go to school day. What are we doing here? And so that's what it ended up being. But let's do a little housekeeping real fast. If you guys have not already done so, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post bell notifications so that way you don't miss any of this amazing content. As you see behind me, it's actually a twofer. The screensaver is actually the thumbnail for the latest video, which is up, which is my review of the Batman. Great movie, by the way, so you can see that right there. But then also on the screen behind it I'm also doing the review on the Kanye West Netflix series, the Genius, however you want to say it. And so volume 1 is up. Volume 2 will go up later this week, so be on the lookout for that. So you definitely don't want to miss that. But as for this big, so I had the CD, the explicit version, but I must have sold it. I don't have that anymore. I do have the clean version, the amended version, as Apple likes to call it, on here, as well as the explicit one on cassette tape that I have run into the ground how much I have played this double CD right here. I want to say, so I don't know, I have so many thoughts that run through my mind thinking about the CD. The CD came out in 1997, and looking at it and saying, wow, it's been 25 years. It's crazy. I remember the day I got the news that Sunday that Big had passed. I was crying. Definitely was my favorite rapper. I used to not even be able to play. If I got a car, I would christen it, for lack of a better word, by making sure the first 2 CDs I played were Ready to Die and Life After Death in whatever order I chose. This CD to me has been the only double CD. I know we've had a ton, and if you guys want me to do some of the other ones, I will. I did do the Bone Art of War. That's up here. You guys can check that out as well. But if you guys want me to do the double CD of All Eyes on Me or the Wu, who else had one? Jay's had one. E40's had one. It's been so many people who Nas has had one. So many people who've put out double CDs, double albums, whatever you want to call it. The Game has one, but I just think that Life After Death has been the best of the group. It's just by far to me been just the best, the most complete one. It's really one song on here that I don't like. Of the entire double CD, is one song I don't like. Everything else I think is a go and just a certified banger. I remember when this came out, I remember how you could not go anywhere without it playing everywhere. And by then I'm in Maryland, but I was in Brooklyn, still heavy a lot. And I'm telling you, all the blocks were playing it, and it was going. The radio had a hold of it, and it was just going. So it's amazing. I actually don't know how I want to do the review, because I obviously normally don't do every song, and it's so many songs that if I truly do a review and deep dive to how I normally would, we'll probably be here all day. And so we'll see. We'll play around with it. The first thing is the intro. Now, you know, guys, for me, the intro sets the tone. The intro lets us know what we're dealing with. The intro lets us know what to expect for the CD. The one gripe I've had with these big CDs is that the intros have been more skit related. I have found that I am not really a skit person. I'm not really into the skits. I just want to hear the music. Sometimes the skits flow and they make sense and they kind of give a theme. I feel like Kendrick did a good job with that. I will be trying to get up the Good Kid, Mad City sometime this week as well. As we prep, this is the last week before I unveil my personal 64 favorite rap albums ever. Obviously, you know, the Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death is on there. But not many albums I find that I'm really into the skits. And so I could have done away without the Life After Death intro. So we're just going to skip that off the break. The very first song is this Somebody's Gotta Die. The beat is so eerie, and especially coming off of his death when the CD came out, it really gave a really eerie feel to it. But let's get to it. That beat, let's bring it up a little bit to where the verse starts. I'm interrupted by a doorbell. My man said, I'm sitting in the crib dreaming about Learjets and coops. The way Salt shoops. That Salt and Pepper record with Spinderella, that shoot-a-doop. And so he was really just giving her credit, thinking like, hey, I would like to get with her. You know, and Salt was a bad chick. I liked her. Spinderella was always my favorite. But, you know, Salt and Pepper was fly too. And they had a dope video for the What a Man, which is the same album as the Shoop song. And What a Man, ironically, had Tupac in it. I believe was Tupac in that video? I think it was. Tretch is definitely in it. I think Tupac was in it as far as for Salt, but Tretch was definitely in it for Pepper, and then obviously they was dating and stuff like that. And then Spinderella, who was just my personal favorite, she was dope. Now, this Somebody's Gotta Die, I'm going to bring it up because really it's that last line. As you can see, like Big's ability to storytell. He said, now, you guys know I don't curse in real life or on the channel, and so while the amended version is nice, the amended version does not give us all 27, 28 songs or however many there are on here. And it only gives us 14. And so to give the full scope of what the CD was like, I did have to go to the explicit version. So some parts were just not going to play. But he said, there's Jason with his back to me, talking to his faculty. I start to get a funny feeling. Put the mask on in case that boy starts squealing. Scream his name out, squeeze 6, nothing shorter. Dude turned around hugging his daughter. And so the entire thing going over the story plot to kill an individual, it's a really eerie record, but it's really dope. His ability to storytell, and we'll get into that more when we get to probably my favorite record on the CD, which is I Got a Story to Tell. But his ability off the break from this intro record lets us know the vividness of the storytelling is definitely one of Big's strong suits. That is 100% one of the best feat. Now, Big's extremely lyrical. His metaphors, his punchlines, his cadence, his delivery, everything about what Big brought musically was really amazing. But something that I think gets really overshadowed is how well a story he told. And there are many examples on his CD of his ability to storytell. This is just one of them, but this was really nice. So I did love that. The next record obviously is the HYPNOTIZE record. Sometimes your words just hypnotize me, and I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they broke in your soul. So what I always think of when I think of this record going forward, right? Now, one, I knew somebody whose cousin was actually one of the mermaids in the video, so that was pretty dope. But the thing I always think about, so back when I used to have social media, you guys who follow me know I don't have social media. But when I still had it, I don't know if I messaged her or she messaged me, but there was a young lady on Twitter that I met named Nikki out of the Oranges. I don't remember, East Orange, South Orange, one of the Oranges. But anyway, she sung back when I still did music and things like that. And so I remember driving, because I'm in Maryland then now, right? And I remember driving there to see her to do music. My wife said I could go, but she said, take somebody. My wife is normally not like, hey, you met some random girl, yeah, go see her, you know what I mean? But everything just kind of aligned, and I legitimately was going, for music and stuff, and I was really cool that she was cool with me going, you know what I mean? And so the crazy thing is, the girl Nikki had given me her address and said, hey, this is where I live. And somehow all the other texts that we had, because by that point we had been texting, all the other texts had been there except that address text that was deleted. And so I'm driving with my homeboy Darrell, and we're driving up the road. And I'm like, oh my goodness, she's not answering the phone, because I'm calling her phone, she's not answering. I put the GPS in towards the address, because I believe I remember seeing it. I'm like, I think this is the address. We get up there, the block is deserted. It had snowed like the night before or something. She's not answering. I knock on the door that I think it is, but I knock so lightly, so I know this story seems crazy. Like, what are we talking about? What does that have to do with Hypnotize? So anyway, I'm getting there, I promise you. And so I get back in the car, I call my wife, and I'm like, Kristen, I feel like, it's a setup. She's not answering the phone. She had me drive 3.5 hours out here. And you know what I mean? Like anything. She was like, and my wife, to her credit, was like, you literally drove 3 to 3.5 hours. I feel like you should give her the benefit of the doubt and at least stay an hour. Like, you drove all that way. Why turn right back around? And she said that, and it was really calming for me. I won't even front. And so I said, okay. No sooner than she said that, Nikki called me, the young lady, and she's like, I am so sorry. Because of the snow, there was a power outage. I was unable to, my phone died on me. I had no electricity. I had to go to my neighbor's house to shower. And while I was showering, I was charging my phone, but my phone had died. She came outside, was really cool, but obviously I had brought studio equipment because we were going to record. I had like a travel studio set or whatever, and we were going to just record there at her house. I had my MacBook, I had my mic set up, my studio, like everything was ready to go. So I'm like, what are we going to do? We can't record there. I'm like, all right, let's just go to my house. So we go to my house in Brooklyn, and we're there, and literally, what came to mind, we're literally sitting there together and we're looking at each other. We're literally recording in my basement in Brooklyn, and we're recording. It's like clothes all around, because it's a basement, you know what I mean? Like the washer, the dryer is down there, everything. And we say this to ourselves: condo paid for, no car payment, at my arraignment, no to your plaintiff. Your daughter's tied up in a Brooklyn basement. Face it, not guilty. That's how I stay filthy. That part right there. I still leave you on the pavement. Condo paid for, no car payment, at my arraignment, note for the plaintiff. Your daughter's tied up in a Brooklyn basement. And we laughed together. Like, how crazy is this that you know what I mean? Like, I met you on Twitter, you met me on Twitter. We somehow connected. We were texting one another, and I drove 3.5 hours to hear you sing on a record for me. And she did sing an amazing job. She was a really great singer. And, but we were laughing like, yo, we're literally in a basement in that Brooklyn line. It was just hilarious too. And my homeboy Darrell didn't get it because he didn't grow up a Biggie guy. He's from DC, and he didn't grow up a Biggie guy. And we just laughed. And every time I think of that record now, that's what I think of, is that moment and that camaraderie, I guess, for lack of a better word, as we laughed about that. And so, but Hypnotize, amazing record. But that it's so much wordplay in there. But that Brooklyn basement part always got me. The next one, Kicking the Door, right? So hard a record, right? And I think I remember, because if you guys remember, Ray and Ghost had done the shark biters. I believe that's the skit where it felt like they were disrespecting Big and my guys, boot camp click, not everyone, but OGC. They had a video, that No Fear video. It felt like they were throwing shots at Big, and it felt like little rumblings from groups and artists were throwing shots at Big. And it felt like when Big dropped Kick in the Door, it was to all of that. Like when he's like, I felt like this was like the response. You know what I mean? And this is just hard. Your reign on the top was short like leprechauns as I crushed so-called willies, thugs, and rapper duns. Let me bring it up slightly. Was told in the shootout, stay low and keep firing. Keep extra clips for extra. But obviously, you know, can't keep it going because of the cursing throughout. But that was a super hard one. I do feel like that was a direct rebuttal to a lot of what rappers in New York and even rappers outside of New York. You did have, obviously it's 2 years later, but you did have Dog Pound with the New York. It was just like a bunch of little things that you know what I mean? Like everyone knows that was, or should have known, this was the king of New York. And it felt like everyone was trying to throw shots at the crown. And I felt like that was a good response for it. That's one of my favorite Primo records, and definitely one of my favorite Biggie records. I think that one was absolutely amazing. When you get to, we're going to skip over the R. Kelly one, not necessarily because of the R. Kelly situation, though that does have a role in it. It was a really great record, but again, because this is the explicit version, it's not the Loving You Tonight, and I just don't feel like going through all the explicitives. This one did play on the radio a lot, and probably was a single or would have been a single had Big still been around. 100%. R. Kelly was huge at that time. They had a record together on the R. Kelly second CD. I guess third if you count the public announcement one, but I think it's called R. Kelly. But whatever CD with the Down Low, Big has a record on there with him on there. And so this was like the let me do one for your project type of thing. Ended up being a really great record. But again, due to the language and just being the explicit version, we're just going to skip over it because there is no clean about that. This next record, which is very surprising to hear. This is a Havoc beat. When you hear it, at first glance, I wouldn't think it, but then when you listen again, it does have that eerie, dark feel that Havoc typically brings on his records when he's doing records. But the one thing, and I don't know if you guys know this, the one thing the Locks always say, this verse that Big is spitting, he's actually getting at them, which was crazy. But obviously, the Big knew and had some influence in ensuring that Diddy signed the Locks, and we all know the Locks have turned out to be one of the greatest rap groups ever, some of the all-time greatest lyricists ever. Jadakiss is on a lot of people's top 10 lists. Styles, who was my personal favorite of the Locks, is on a lot of people's, not as many as Kiss, I don't think, but he's on a lot of people's lists. And Sheek gets busy as well. We literally just saw what they did at the Verses, which I was at. Shout out to that. See that video up and running too. And so Big knew how lyrical they were. And I feel like when Big got on records with other rappers who was of his ilk or who he felt was of his ilk, he really brought his A game. You can go back to the Method Man, the What. You can go to the countless Jay-Z verses, whether it's Brooklyn's Finest, it's Young G's. I Love the Dough, which we'll get to. I think it's the next one. He's always bringing his A game when it comes to records with Jay. And then I felt like the 3 times, I'm sorry, he did stuff with the Locks. Because we have this, the Last Days. We have the Funk Flex freestyle, which is nuts over the RZA beat. I can't even think. Cream, over the Cream beat. And I think they have one more together, I want to say. I don't count Benjamin's because Benjamin's, that verse, the version I have with Benjamin's did not originally have Big on it. And so that might have been a post type of thing done, but this right here was always fire. Sure, yes. And I only care halfway, but I still can't let you pass me. Every cook up is the future. Disrespect, I shoot you. Get flipped weekly. Mix weed with the leak. He does crush that. Yeah, I love the dough was next. And so this right here was nice. This is what Angela's singing on the hook, and she sounds great. Every time I think of her, I just think of I forgot what record she had with Little Kim and Mr. Big with Ron Isley. And so whatever record they have, every time I think of her, that's the song I think of. I probably should think of like other stuff she's done, but that's literally what I always think of when that pops up. Oh, Jay-Z, I'll let you tell it. I love this beat. Every chance you get, we live for the moment. Makes sense, don't it? Now make dollars. I love how she sounds on here. Like, it's so much variety on the CD. Make the best CDs and the best tapes. Breaks finals. We are 8 songs in. We've already had a storytelling record. We've had the party single record. We've had the hard lyrical record, the kick in the door. We've had the girl record with the R. Kelly. We've had the posse cut, if you want to call it that, because it's 3 Lox members plus him. And now we have the smoothed out Jay-Z pre-Imaginary Player, but right in line with Imaginary Player type of vibe, right in line with the Dead Presidents type of vibe, like that 96, 97 Jay-Z blend with Big. They just sounded so good together. It's a shame we never got the commission. And so I love this record. And right now, no song has sounded the same. It's been just a collection of variety in range to kind of show like, I can just do anything. Whatever record you think, I got you on it. The next one is nuts. This What's Beef. Yeah, I thought so. Oh, I forgot he said that. The commission at the beginning. The commission. Uncle Paulie. P. Diddy. Charlie Baltimore, Iceberg Slim, Jay-Z, Frankie Baby. This is super hard a record. Now, some parts I do not agree with. That whole gutter and the throwing the kids off the bridge and the in-between that we're not going to even talk about. Way too much. But that What's Beef, I think, kind of set the tone for letting us know, like, sometimes we treat stuff as beef and we say, hey, this is beef. I got beef with this person. And you really don't have beef. Because he says, what's beef? Beef is when your moms ain't safe up in the streets. Like, I think of that 50 line where he says, what's the 50 line on Heat? Where he was like, if you were smart, you'd be shook of me. Because I get tired of looking for you. Spray your mama's crib and let you come look for me. Which I think is a nuts line, right? Like, it's super hard, but also like, what? That's nuts. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that. But that's what Big is like, yo, that's beef. Beef is when you're not safe up in the streets. Beef is when ICU guaranteed to be in ICU, meaning when ICU, it's on site. If I see you, I'm putting you in ICU, meaning you need IVs and you need medical care and assistance to stay alive. Like, he said it's on site. A lot of times people say they have beef, but they don't really have beef. They have friction. They have disagreements. They may not like one another, but it's not to the point that they're actually bringing bodily harm to one another. This entire song deals with the aspect of when it's legitimate beef. And I think this was more so in line with obviously the stuff going on with him and Pac had just passed, what, 6 months earlier or something like that. He passed in September and Big passed in March. And so I think trying to diffuse, and we don't know when he recorded this, at what portion and when, but to diffuse the whole, hey, we got beef. Because this is, when we have beef, that's what this implies, that this is what this is. And we don't have that. You know what I mean? Like, we have a disagreement, we have an altercation, but it's not guaranteed we have beef. I don't want that. One more time, that gives more explanation. Shot at the rest of them. What about 100 or more? Maybe less of them. It's a hard record. This next one, I do actually like this skit. I do actually like this. It was cool. It was cool. The way he broke it out and was spelling out what he's spelling out. But it's very explicit, so we're just gonna skip it. The next one, obviously, this was the huge smash. It would have been such a great addition if this had been a video in which Big could have been a part of, but obviously this was done after the passing of Big. But the record with him, Mace, Puff was nuts. This was their second collab together, I want to say, because the first one we're counting is the Mace 112 Big record, where they did it down at Times Square. And then you have, after that, you had the, it's not Been Around the World. Is it Been Around the World? Yeah, because Big is on the hook, that Been Around the World. I personally prefer the remix with Carl Thomas, but that's neither here nor there. But the Big Mace Puff, I feel like, man, they made some really great music together. The beat, this is nuts. And this is one of those songs where everybody sounded great. Like, the Mace verse is tough. The Puff verse is really good. Whoever wrote it, Big, Mace, Kiss, whoever wrote it, Styles, whatever, it's a great verse. And then the Big verse is just amazing. And then Kelly Price on the hook, it's really, really good. This is what happens when everything comes together. It's one of the greatest. The beat, like, everything about this, I can't even imagine what the studio session was like. I'm gonna skip it, you guys know. The next record, Dudes Bleed Just Like Us. Picture me being scared of somebody who breathed the same air as me. Now, this is another storytelling song, similar to Somebody's Gotta Die. Kind of have the airiness of that beat as well. Amazing record. And it showed a sense of humor at the very end. Because at the very end of it, he says, here we go. I know the clipping got real loud and crowded. He walked right past us. I don't know how they allowed it. The funny thing about it, in all the excitement, they range got told they double parked by a hydrant. Like, I thought that was just hilarious. Like, they're going through the whole setup of showing up at the room where the individuals are, and it's chaotic and everything's going on, and then throws in the humor at the end, which was a great prelude to what I consider to be the best record on the CD. Now, there is a lot of great records on the CD, but this, I got a story to tell. And I don't know what's better. You know what? I do know what's better. Let me stop acting like I don't. The actual rap is amazing, and it details such a vivid story. For years, everyone's been trying to figure out, who was the Nick? Is it Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley? Is it John Starks, Greg Anthony? Man, was it Charlie Ward? Like, who was the Nick? But the story that followed it, it felt like a conversation you have, like I would have called up Donnie, or he would have called me up, or Chauncey, or whatever, and one of us would be just almost like, yo, you're not gonna believe what just happened to me. Remember that? Yeah. And they chime in, and yo, this is what's happening. This is it felt like Friday. I don't know how to better put it, but if you've been in situations where you've had days like Friday, right? The movie, the original one we're talking, then you know. And so it just gave such a different element to the story, because when you rap it and we hear the rap, so we get to experience what happened, or, you know, allegedly happened. And then we then get to experience it being retold to your homeboys. No one has duplicated that. I don't know why. Like, I feel like that is something people should try to emulate, because it brought such a breath of fresh air to the music at this point. It was just nuts. But I'll see if I can throw in any of it, because I mean, my goodness, it is heavy on the cursing, so I don't know. I was past. Roll the grass. She giggled. City I'm smoking on homegrown. Then I heard a moan. Honey, I'm home. Up. Duck home for situations like this. I'm up in this girl. I know he won't like this. Now I'm like, chick, you better talk to him. Before this fifth, put a spark to him. Mess around, things get dark to him. Put a spark through him. Like, this was such a crazy record. When he's like, it came to me like a song I wrote. And I'm like, it was just so crazy. This is definitely the beat, everything about this. I thought that this was just nuts. And then when he's going back and telling the story, I gotta speed up a little bit. Even hearing it back, man, playing this back, I thought this was just nuts. I absolutely love this. Next record, Notorious Thugs. What made this so amazing? And shout out to Bone. I did do the Bone review of the double CD that they put out, Art of War, and also did the verses with them in 3-6, where they did perform this and discussed how amazing it was. Now, when Pac did Thug Love, which is a super hard record and one of the best Pac verses, I think, period, Pac did not change how he delivered his flow. His flow was his flow. When Big did this, Big not only did the record with him, but did their flow. And I felt he did it better than they did. Now, we can argue or disagree, but I feel like Big came in and set the tone, and then Busy's verse right afterwards was nuts. I don't really remember the other ones, but Biggie's verse was nuts. And I remember I'm so mad I got rid of it. I had a double XL. I used to collect all the double XLs and all the Source magazines. I think I had all the Sources dating back from 1996 up until whenever the Source stopped being popping and double XL became the thing. And I had double XL all the way through King magazine. And I had all the King magazines and the Don Divas and stuff. But I remember double XL did something I really like. I'm so mad. I should have kept those, where they had the makings of. They had the Making a Ray to Die, Cuban Links, Reasonable Doubt, Life After Death. And one of the stories that Bone talked about was when they got to the studio and Big was like, hey, let's just smoke, drink, kind of vibe. And they had smoked and drunk so much that they were all passed out. And Big, as a heavier set dude, he was able to still go. And he goes in the booth, lays his verse out. They're all knocked out. He's going in, waking them up like, hey, man, come on, go lay your verse. And I was like, yikes. Like, they were just out of it when they put this verse together. Like, they were really out of it. But, Big was like, hey, man, go lay your verse. And I was like, whoa. But this came out really, armed and dangerous. Ain't too many could bang with us. Armed and dangerous. Ain't too many could bang with us. Straight up, we no angel us. Label us notorious. Obviously, with all the cursing, sometimes it's just easier to kind of skip through it. But it's a hard one. Our situation is a tight one. What you going to do? Fight or run? Right? Really, that's what it comes down to. I loved it. The next verse, right, the next one right here, this Missing You. Another one's really great to me. I think it's that third verse that had a sentimental value to me. At the same time that this came out, Master P on the Ghetto DCD has a song with him and Silk on there called Gangsters Need Love Too, where they take the same sample to the third power. He didn't care, spent the money in a half hour. Rain on competition like a shower. In 88 when Kane ruled with half-stepping. Ain't no half-stepping, Big Daddy Kane. We was kings till the D's crept in. Now I miss them. 112 sounds good on here. This was such a good record. With the groceries, my little sister, the girl was kind of close to me, a little closer than the average girl's supposed to be, far from a lover. My girl was jealous of her. Then she started messing with some major players. Yeah, this is definitely a favorite of mine. I love that third verse. And it's, again, the range on this CD. There's not been one records that we've heard thus far that's not gone. Like all of these records, this Kim record is so explicit. We probably just can't play this at all. But this was nice. I know we don't treat you like I treat you. Time to explain the game to see you. Let's sleep. I ain't gonna lie, means to get you back. I ain't gonna try like this, y'all. I think Kim had a harder verse. I don't know if she wrote it or Big wrote it, but I felt like Kim had a harder verse. But this was nuts too. This record got so much spin. I remember Homeboy used to play that back to back. That going back to Cali. Hit 2 is a nice odd and remake of the LL Cool J going back to Cali. And so this was another one. Women and the weed, sticky green. This right here. So Nas has I Gave You Power, which on it was written is so creative, a concept. And then Big gave us this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10 crack commandments. 1, 2, 3. Now we're not gonna play it, but we know like this was hard. 10 Crack Commandments was nuts. That's such a good record. Primo again. Player Hater was really good. That's the skit. Feel like I mentioned it on one of the Bone albums that it kind of feels like that vibe. Nasty Boy is a record I did not like, so we will skip over that. Sky's the Limit has one of the greatest videos ever. And the creativity behind using the little kids showing the sky's the limit, I just thought was amazing. The little versions of Faith and Kim and 112 and Puff, Big and Busta, Snoop. Like it was really, really good to see. I think there was a little Jay-Z there. Like it was really dope. Put money in my mom's hand. Give my daughter this college grand. Say she don't need no man. Stay far from timid. Only make moves when your heart's in it. And live the phrase sky's the limit. Amazing record. Amazing record. This right here, The World Is Filled with Too Short, is outside. I think I Got a Story to Tell, and this is probably my two favorite records on the CD. That Puff verse on here was nuts. I'm trying to tell you it was nuts. I know people sleep on Puff because he don't be writing his words and stuff like that. But, and again, I really wish I had clean versions to this, but some of the stuff they don't. But it's not. But this is definitely one of my favorite records on here. The world is mine, can't you see? I'm just trying to be all I can be. I guess this is Carl Thomas. Sounds like this is where where Jay took the big line. On the I Just Want to Love You. Obviously, that's where he took it from, for those who don't know. My Downfall featuring DMC. Another favorite of mine. Man, these last, I want to say 4 records that close out the CD are such amazing fan favorites for me. Where to set off, shit to push the lead off. Cause in this world I'm dead off. Squeeze let off, bend sped off. Ain't no shook hands in Brooklyn. Army fatigue, bring fatigues to enemies. Look man, you wanna see me? Mom's crotch stuck over the casket. That record right there, my downfall. And it's the last verse that gets even more busy. Not too many keep a mill in a briefcase. Help me sleep safe, but wait. That one is nuts. And then this right here is the RZA record, that Long Kiss, where Big is like, I used to be as strong as Ripple B, till Little C's crippled me. Now I play hard like my girl's nipples be. The game sour like a pickle be. Y'all know the rules. Went from BK to New Jerusalem, thinking about like Big's ability to break down stuff is just nuts, man. Like his wordplay is sick. Buy my CD twice. They see me in the streets and be like, yo, he's nice, but that's on the low though. Even cats with no dough try to play me at my shows. He goes so hard. The game sour like a pickle bee. Y'all know the rules. Move from BK to New Jerusalem. Thinking about all the planes we flew. This was hard. And in the last CD, I said I wasn't gonna play, and here I am playing everything. I apologize. This is way longer than I normally do, but this is a double CD. And again, as much as I would love to deep dive, I could not. This last verse is nobody till somebody kills you. When he gets into the nitty gritty of that last little part and the realization of when he's talking about dark skinned Jermaine, it's nice. And that's a shame if you feel like you're nobody, or people think you're nobody until somebody kills you. But again, I mean, look what it did for him, what it did for Pac. Look what it's done for Nipsey. Look at what is doing for so many individuals. It's sad. But people are more so remembered or loved or whatever the case may be after these things happen, which sucks, you know, because people deserve their flowers while they're alive. But again, this is one of the all-time favorites for me. It has not gotten old. It has aged gracefully. Still the best double CD I think I've ever heard. Pound for pound, one of the best albums. Put it up with all of the greats. I think it's there. But leave your thoughts. Hopefully you guys enjoy the review. You guys let me know, what was your favorite song on there? How did you enjoy it the first time or this time or whenever you listen? Is there another double CD you think is better than this that you enjoyed more? But leave your thoughts. Let me know how you liked it. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed, productive, stress-free day, weekday, weekend, whenever you're listening, however you're listening. I thank you for listening. Till next time.